Greetings people of YouTube and welcome back to another Transformers review, but this time I am not taking a look at a Studio Series figure, but instead I'm taking a look at the Transformers Legacy Evolution Deluxe class, Beachcomber, and Paradise Parakeet. Yeah, so I originally already did film an entire intro segment for this review with the figure still being in the box, but my dummy butt decided to delete it for whatever reason. I'm sorry, you guys. Anyways, getting back on topic. The decision for me to review this figure in particular might seem a little random to you guys, as it is to me myself. I personally am not that familiar with the character, as I haven't seen the G1 cartoon. The closest thing I've seen to the G1 cartoon is playing Transformers Devastation, which is honestly kind of underrated amongst Transformers fans even. But you know what? After I saw the promotional images for this figure on the Hasbro Pulse stream, I decided that I could not miss this out. This character's design is dripping with 80s simplicity and I love it for it. Might be a bit of an acquired taste for modern audiences, but I personally find it to be charming as heck. Taking a closer look at the box, you can see Beachcomber's really cool looking Dune Buggy alt mode there, Transformers Legacy Evolution logo. I was originally hoping for that Voyager class Torn figure to be my first Legacy Evolution figure, but I guess this ain't too bad either. Turning over to this side, you can see a really cool artwork of Beachcomber in his robot mode. On the back, you got some product shots like usual with the really cool Evil Fusion gimmick, whoopee. On this side, there's one half of the Legacy Evolution poster. At the top of the box, there's nothing at all. There's a QR code here, which if you want to scan it, go ahead and pause this video right now. And the bottom of the box is usual business. So the question is, will this figure be able to comb the lawless wasteland of a beach that is my heart? Or will it make me think that whoever came up with the idea for this figure is a son of a beach? Feel free to leave a like if you know where I took that from. So let's get into it. And here's the Transformers Legacy Evolution Deluxe Class Beachcomber, along with its bird buddy, out of their packaging. I'm honestly quite surprised to say that this little guy actually turned out pretty awesome. It's a pretty simple figure, so this review shouldn't be very long, but I'm sure there's still some fun to be had. So why don't we just get straight into the accessories. Firstly, we get his weapon, which is this pretty cool looking gun. And it's a pretty basic Transformers gun, cast in grey plastic but painted black. And there's some nice panel lining sculpted onto it. To demonstrate plugging it into the figure's hand, also they call it the Evo Fusion gimmick. Just like so. That actually looks pretty cool. As cool as this gun may be, though it is not my favorite accessory that came with this figure. That honor would go to this little guy. Focus. I don't know the relevance of him having a parakeet. If any of you would like to explain it, please do so in the comments below. For how tiny it is, I'm actually really impressed on what they were able to accomplish here. I mean, look at the size of it compared to my thumbnail. This thing is minuscule. But yet again, it is actually pretty awesome. Integrating this into the figure itself, there are two ways that I know of. First option is with these shoulder nubs. You plug it in like so. Look at him, he's got a little buddy. That's adorable. Or what is actually my preferred way of integrating this into the figure. There are these holes in his forearms, and you plug it in just like so. Might be a bit tricky because the parakeet is made out of rubber material. In you go. And oh my gosh, I love how this looks. It's basically a way cuter version of Soundwave talking to Laserbeak. As far as weapon storage goes, you want to turn this figure around, and you can plug this gray peg here into whichever hole you want. Yep. There you go, and I think that is a pretty good form of weapon storage. Yeah, wow, that's it for accessories. What a drastic change of pace from the last figure I reviewed. And now that we're done with accessories, let's jump straight into the details. Now, comparing Beachcomber here to his G1 character model, I think they absolutely nailed the likeness. I guess it shouldn't be that hard considering the design is so simple, but I still think it's a win in my book. Though I don't know what it is about this figure, but I feel like it is slightly more accurate to the art that they used in the Hasbro Pulse stream right here. Either way, I think in terms of accuracy, this figure is near enough 10 out of 10. As we take a closer look at the figure, sure, this figure is not as complex in terms of design as some other figures I've reviewed, but honestly, the simplicity about this figure is what makes me like it so much. Not only does it look blocky, but it feels like an absolute brick in the best way possible. All the joints in this figure are incredibly nice to handle. Probably the most stable deluxe class figure that I have. If I were to have one major problem about the aesthetics of this figure, it would be these kibble right here at the back of the heels. They kinda clash with the overall cleanliness of the design, but it is only a small area in what is mostly a really clean figure. And speaking of clean, look at the application of silver on the chest right there, with the Autobot insignia here being a really nice cherry on top. This figure looks good, it feels good, and it poses pretty good as well. Surprisingly, we do get a ball joint at the head instead of just a regular swivel. It is slightly limited due to the blocky nature of the head, but it still works fine. Can look side to side okay, looks up a decent amount, looks down not really, and the slightest hint of a head pivot. Shoulders move all the way 360, they can move out about that far. Rotation at the elbow, single jointed elbow that bends in more than 90 degrees. Surprisingly, we do get a wrist swivel, but it is a little hard to demonstrate. There you go. A waist swivel that is way easier to show. He can kick forward about that far. Can move back just as much, if not even more so actually. He can do the splits. Thigh rotation. This is probably the loosest joint in the entire figure. 90-degree bend at the knee. And finally, a pretty good ankle pivot. This figure might be a lot smaller than most deluxe class figures, but I think in terms of articulation, this figure is just as good. And speaking of being small, size comparisons. Here's Beachcomber and Paradise Parakeet next to another G1 Legacy figure, the Deluxe Class Drag Strip. Fun fact, I actually did plan to review this figure, but I just cancelled it for whatever reason. Here's a clip if you would like.
Let's cut him open.
Here he is next to the Legacy Leader Class Blitzwing. I'm still kind of interested in reviewing this figure, so if you'd like to see it, please let me know in the comments below. Comparing him to a regular 6-inch figure, we have the Marvel Legends Mr. Knight. And finally, comparing him to the more popular off-road vehicle Transformer, we have the Transformers Siege War for Cybertron Hound figure. Technically this is the Netflix version, but who cares. And now that I am done with the robot mode, rev up those instructions and let's get to the transformation. And after that incredibly pleasant transformation, here is Beachcomber in his very simple looking Dune Buggy alt mode. This thing is just adorable! For an off-road vehicle like Dune Buggies, this thing is minuscule. And I think that just adds to the charm factor of this thing. And if we compare it to the G1 character arc, this is a dead ringer for the G1 model. So blocky yet so impressive. What's also impressive is that this figure actually has rubberized wheels. Again, that just adds to the quality of this figure. It's a very small deluxe class, yet it has so much quality packed into it. And the perfect cherry on top is that this thing has sculpted in interiors. How beautiful. Now, if you think the front of the vehicle looks a little empty, that's because this is where the weapon comes into the picture. There are actually two ways you can integrate this weapon into the vehicle mode. The first and obviously inferior way is to clip on this whole piece into this whole canopy section of the vehicle. And this still doesn't look bad. You can even hinge this gun up and down to make it look like a turret or something. But I prefer to clip this into the front of the vehicle. This circular peg is gonna plug into this peg hole. And these two tabs here are going to attach to these two slots. Make sure to align them properly. Yeah, there you go. And that in turn creates the front grille of the Dune Buggy. Creative use of weapon storage, though it is not perfect. I still really like it a lot. And as far as the burb goes, I personally like to plug it into this peg hole. There you go. And yeah, that looks pretty good. And with these rubberized wheels, they both can roll off nicely into the size comparison. Here they are next to Drag Strip, Blitzwing, and his tank mode. The only other rubber-wheeled vehicle that I have, this random Lego truck, Mr. Knight, and finally, Hound. And that concludes my review for the Transformers Legacy Evolution Deluxe Class, Beachcomber, and Paradise Parakeet. To me, this figure is proof that simplicity can be great. It may not have a lot to offer compared to other deluxe class figures, but I think the build quality and the overall execution of the figure is highly worth the price. If you like the Transformers G1 cartoon and or you're into this type of aesthetic, I highly recommend this figure. And I hope you all liked this review. Please tell me your thoughts about it in the comments below. If you did enjoy it, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button because I will be posting more reviews. I want to say thank you so much for watching my videos, and hopefully I'll see you all next time. Bye bye! A little heads up for my next review. It won't be that positive.